Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Vobes reading, the Bald Explorer reading on the Bald Explorer page. I'm Richard Vobes, and it's nice to have your company this afternoon. Let me just adjust my microphone as we get ourselves together. And I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee that I made this morning when I was about to leap out, and I did go out climbing over the South Downs. And no point wasting it, and I can drink it during the show, which I shall do. Cheers to your good health, ladies and gentlemen. It's still warm. We are reading Luck Lift on Southern Roads by Tickner Edwards. This is part 4 of the reading. If you've missed any of them, I suggest you go back and check the others. Earlier ones I was reading from the screen, but I have a copy of the book now. Let's say hello to a few people before we get going. Hello to TurboStream, Adrian, good afternoon. To lovely Julia, good afternoon to you. Turbo says I have to scoot off at 4:45. I have a Zoom call to attend at 5. I will slip out quietly, I promise. If we hear a whoa bonk, we know that you slipped out rather noisily on the proverbial banana skin. So don't eat a banana during the show is my advice. Andrew Norris, hello to you, young man. What ho! Very good to see you. John F, hello to you. Nice to see you too. And Nigel Sadler, you sounding very boxy. Why boxy? I don't know. The TSV was the same last night. Is that? Oh, wait a minute. How about now? I had the other microphone on, which was over there, picking up a bit of echo. It's possible when both microphones on, it does sound a bit more hollow because it's picking up more room ambience. Better. Good. Oh, I'm pleased about that. Sorry about that. Lee Lawson is here. Good afternoon. I sent you an email, Richard, which you may or may not yet have seen, back to Slumberwell. I know we have moved on now. Yes, I did see it. I haven't had a chance to reply. I've been out and then was editing the video and so on and so forth. So I did get it. And so it's interesting. Actually, it might be worth me reading out what you've suggested there because people may find that of interest. Because we left you... Oh, the other mic was louder, was it? Oh, yes, it is possible that I did turn in the show the other mic up. There we are, just giving that a bit more of a boost. Let's have a look. Searching for Slumberwell. Lee says, Morning, Richard. I've searched everywhere I can think of for reference to Slumberwell and or the Blue-Eyed Maid. Searches include addresses on Ancestry and Find My Past, newspaper searches on Find My Past, and searches for the village and pub on History Online. Genku, I've never heard of that, or Genuki, is it? Genuki? And the catalogues of the Devon and Somerset Records Office, all websites for lost and closed pubs in Devon and Somerset. I reckon it's an invented place or inn. Certainly Slumberwell sounds like a little fanciful. There are various Blue-Eyed Maid inns, but not in that area. Oh, well, at least there are some inns of that name, which is interesting. I do try to get to reply at some point, but often it's sometimes with the emails I see them all and I think let me just do this editing first and then I'll get round to them. Having looked, as many of our other listeners will have done, on maps, I think the closest might be Otterford. That's interesting. With a lot of artistic licence. There are streams and the River Otter there, but no pub. It is en route from Church Stanton. Edwards travels from Culmstock to Church Stanton, a lightning impression of a brown church, a yellow inn and a sprinkling of toadstool cottages. But I can only see a church there on Google Street View. Then he spends the night at Slumberwell, where it's waterlogged with brooks and a river. He says the river almost encloses the village, which it does not do at Otterford or anywhere else in that area. Yeah, I had a quick look at the streams and things to see if I could find anything. Edwards then gets a lift with the doctor through the wilds and the heather. This would fit the descriptions of Staple Hill. According to the OS map, you go up the hill from Otterford, and the track passes by Moor Farm, up Staple Hill and through Staple Park Wood, going down again to Staple Fitzpaine. And then you've sent me some various maps. Let's just have a quick glance at these, which you very kindly sent here. So Church Stanton is there. There's Otterford. With there is water round there, isn't there? And there's a pond, and there's a big duck here down the bottom. Staple Hill is up here. We can see the contours round here. There's a little place just here called Slumberwell. No, I'm joking. If only. You've sent me another. So Staple Hill, that's where we were, and then we go back up to Staple Fitzpaine, which is where he's going. And there was a house, wasn't there, somewhere in the wilds, which may be Mount Fancy or somewhere, farm, because he's going to end up here, Underhill, South Hill. We'll see what he says. I can't remember now. And there's a picture, thank you very much, Lee, of the countryside around. Interesting country, though, isn't it? How beautiful. So that would be very nice. You'll have fun walking there to discover the Lift Luck Trail in the spring. Yeah, we must go back. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Lee, for doing that. And anybody else who's done their work. How terrific. Hello to Chris Snuggs. Hello to you. To Nigel Sadler. Says that the other mic was... Oh, yes, we read that. Well observed, Nigel. Thank you for letting me know, because without the headphones on, I'm not really monitoring anything. Clint Brook, hello to you from Shrewsbury, or Shrewsbury, depending on how you like to say it. Michael White, find my future. Not quite sure what that is. Nigel says that I have found what I think is Slumberwell. Nigel Sadler, tell us. I am sure Slumberwell is actually... Oh, here we go. Hemyock. The topographical description he gives fits. Blimey, this is like a detective. We will get onto the story, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just have a look on... what are you using as your map? Are you using... I might just look on the OS, the up-to-date OS map for the moment, which I get to it using Bing Maps. Works quite well for me. What are we looking for? What did you call it? Where have you gone? Hemyock. Hemyock. Hemyock, England. It says. Let's get rid of that. Why are we not on a full... Hemyock. Oh, right, here we go. Let's have a look. Share this so everybody can see it. There's Hemyock. And it's quite big, though, isn't it? It's quite big. He's got the stuff encircling it. There's a church. I don't know what the church is like. I suppose we have to go on Google Maps now. Hemyock. Collapse that. Where's the church? Where was the church gone? Oh, there it is. St. Mary's Church. Let's have a quick gander at St. Mary's Church. Here it is. Well, it's a brown church. Give you that much. There's a... Yeah, oh yeah. That's interesting. Is it in the right place then in terms of his route to whatever it was, Fitzpaine? Where's the... So I just run over that bloke. There's the church. Linda Kane says, phew, just arrived in time. I've been on the Devon family history site and really set up a debate about Slumberwell. Oh, excellent. This is so exciting. Oh, Nigel, I'll have a look for that now, says Lee. Bit late, hands were covered in flour. Hope everyone is well, says Ed Loud. We have Hemyock Road near my house. Oh, gosh. There's a Dunk's Well in Devon. My goodness, this is so exciting. Anyway, there's the church. How about that? We also have searched for the Blue-Eyed Maiden Church on closed pub site. No mention, though there is a pub with that name in Borough in London. Ooh, you don't want to take the Hemlock. No, absolutely, says Days of Yore. Fantastic. Well, isn't this Bing OS Maps? There we go. Yes, fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. So there it is. And it's in the Culm Valley. And there's Culmstock. And he starts at Culmstock. Yes, that's very true. I wonder why he calls it... Maybe he does something there and he doesn't want people to recognise him, because everything else seemed to be all right. And he talks about... Where's this other place? What's the name? Fitzpatrick. What's it? Fitzpaine or wherever it is. Where's Fitzpaine then? There's Church Stanton. There's Stapley. Oh, there's an airfield up here. Sorry, I'm not showing you what I'm looking at. There's Staple Hill, and there's Staple Fitzpaine, and the Manor House, which is quite a distance, though, isn't it? It's quite a distance. Hang on. Where's Fitzpaine gone? Staple Fitzpaine is there. As the crow flies, it's 8 miles, 8.5 miles. Oops, oh well, there we go, I lost it now. Right, let's crack on. There's also Kinkerswell. Kinkerswell, that sounds very good. Right, let's crack on. Thank you for that. You've been marvellous. You get the bit between the teeth, and we do a good bit of searching. This is what I like about doing this as a live thing, because you wouldn't get that on an ordinary reading. Sorry, I see that somebody's tried to ring me, and I'm just looking to see. I don't know who that is. It's a Brighton number, but I've turned it off because we're live. Right, this is chapter 6. Yeah, my copy is already the spine. It must have been, just as I put it down yesterday, the spine is it's coming out. I don't know how you can repair that without sellotape. Sellotape just falls off. I don't want to put black gaffer tape on it. I could put glue on it, but it's a shame because it's gonna fall to bits. I mean, I suppose a very tiny strip of gaffer there might have to be what it has, but it would be a shame. Anyway, so we was staying at the house with the woman who was gabbling on whilst the bloke had the bony fingers by the fire, if we remember, and who was dying or close to death. When I got away from the house at last, my head was full of a confusion of local names, in which only one stood out: Staple Fitzpaine. It had an antiquated feudal sound, and I remembered that my way to it lay past Collup's Corner. Now, anyone with maps might want to look up Collup's Corner. It's Collup, Collup's Corner. A little steady going brought me out into the winding green track between hedgerows, which evidently led somewhere, and so I pushed on. The day had changed during my sojourn in the farmhouse. The calm had broken, as though the breeze had suddenly let out on a leash. In the treetops its voice was like the laughter of children pouring out of school. It stemmed by me now in a glad frolic of liberty. I could think of it only as the free child racing merrily homeward, throwing cap in the air for very joy, and I was carried irresistibly along with it, catching the spirit of its mood as I went. There was another happy wayfarer not far off, as it proved, and I came full upon him at Collup's Corner. He sat by the lane side making clothes pegs, the green turf around him strewn with white chips of wood. Close by, a dilapidated pony cart reared its shafts to the sky, and a little farther off, the pony itself was contentedly browsing. The man wore a velveteen coat and a red neck cloth, and as he worked he sang an old love ditty, disjointedly, full of absent-minded pauses, as though clothes-peg making was the most exacting occupation in the world. The music stopped as I came up. It ceased in a gargling, strangled way, due to the fact that the man had at that moment clapped a handful of tacts into his mouth. At his elbow lay a little heap of old treacle and tomato tins, which he fell into cutting up into narrow strips. He bought the two halves of each peg together, fitted them with a tin band, disgorged a tack, and drove it into place with a single blow of an old horseshoe. He worked at an incredible pace. The heaps of cut wood and strips of tin diminished, and the pile of finished pegs grew like magic as I watched him. For half an hour, perhaps, we remained thus, in perfect though mute good friendship, until the last tack was regurgitated and the last peg made. And then the man got to his feet, smiling and stretching himself. 20 dozen, he said, looking down on his work. 23 halfpennies is half a crown, that is when you've sold 'em. Then there's rabbit skins and bottles. Bottles is worth doing, now there's an exchange over Taunton way. But this ain't a picnic country, and it ain't the season. 'Tis props and pegs and brooms till come April, and then bee-skeps for a month or two, and that's how the poor lives, says you. I had said nothing of the kind, being rather intent on a plan which I now broached to him. Suppose I buy the clothes pegs for half a crown, I said, and then you take the pegs back again in exchange for a ride in your cart. He agreed, and together we put the reluctant pony into the shafts and got up into the cart. The man had a curious method of driving. He didn't start the pony by voice or rein in the ordinary way, but as soon as we were ready to go, he took a stout cudgel and dealt the beast 3 or 4 resounding thwacks on the rump. Blimey. The pony moved one ear languidly. Several more hearty blows descended on various parts of him in quick succession. He moved both ears this time, and looked round at his master in dull, respectful inquiry. At the third volley, the truth that he was expected to move seemed to dawn on him, and he went off willingly enough at a shambling trot. I was well into Somerset now, and, so far, thoroughly charmed with the county. It had none of the tremendous breakneck character of Devonshire, but was pretty and quiet and wild as a pastoral country could be. Civilization flowed gently through it, but without domination or obtrusiveness. The arts of forestry and road making were in a commendably primitive state. The trees seemed to grow how and where it suited them, and the highways to wind hither and thither at their own pleasure, as much as for the convenience of man. At Staple Fitzpaine, I sat in the cart while the clothes-peg merchant went about his business from door to door. It was only a tiny place, with a beautiful, many-pinnacled church tower, with a big, glossy starling. Oh, sorry, my fault. It was only a tiny place with a beautiful, many-pinnacled church tower, with a big, glossy starling sat clucking and whistling industriously. I want to have a look at the church to see if it is as described. Where did he say? Let's go back in here. Come out of there. Fitzpatrick, we want. Staple Fitzpaine, wasn't it? It's up here somewhere. Let's have a quick gander. Where are you, Staple Fitzpaine? That's where he's going, up this way. There it is. Presumably here's the church. Oh, you can't get Google, what's the name, to look at it. Oh, that's a nice house. Look at that. Very swish. Oh, is that the church there? We don't get much of a view of that, do we? Can we get a bit more of it down here? Oh, look at those. Gone a bit far there. Oh, there it is. Many pinnacled tower, he said. Look at that. How lovely. That's it. Nice to see it. Right. Hello to Ben Reeve. Nice to see you. Mike Kane and Lee Lawson. Philip Harrand and Mary. Jumper looks right. Yes, I thought I'd put it on just for you, Mary. Thank you so much for doing the repair. I have no idea where you did it. I can't remember which arm it was on either. It looks fantastic. Thank you so much. This and the yellow one, the mustard one, I love. I'm saving up some more money and I'm going to order some more if that's all right. Because they're just so nice and it's good. They look great on camera and it would be nice to have a little collection. It's so important what you wear. People often don't realise that. They make their videos in any old tatty clothes, but actually I think it's very, very important. And these are beautifully made, beautifully knitted, and incredibly warm. So if it's all right with you, Mary, I'd like to get some more, but I just need to save up first. Having spent that van, money on the van, I am a bit impecunious, as they say. Anyway, Ben Reeve says, Kincaswell, many hours sat on the main road through there on annual holidays to Paynton before the new bypass was built. Dunkswell, just southeast of Culmstock, says Mike Saunders. Dunkswell. Someone in the Devon Family Research page suggested Dunkswell. Oh, right. I tried to find Collop's Corner this morning too. Any luck? Probably not then. When Richard is looking at the map, how many are pointing to it? Own up, going, it's there, you idiot, it's there. Mary, that will be fine, Richard. Oh, yes, thank you. That would be great. Well, I'll be in touch. A bit like Michael Portillo's blazers, says Michael K. Yes, they're also, they're important for defining your character, and but it's just, there's something about looking good on screen. It's there forever, and it's a very important thing. Anyway, that's for another day, a discussion of that ilk. Just seeing if I could balance this on here, on that camera, on this little camera. There we are. Look, you can see the book is just there. Look. Oops. Now the microphone is collapsing. It's all going horribly wrong. Right. Where are we? Oh yes, I sat in the cart whilst he did his stuff. It was only a tiny place with the beautiful, and that's right. And the fat starling sat chuckling and whistling industriously. Listening to this queer melody, it struck me that there was an aspect of the starling's song about which none of the ornithologists appear to have written. They all give him credit for being an incorrigible imitator in and out of season, but the starling on Staple Church Tower, as I lay back on a sackful of gallipots, I beg your pardon, gallipot. What is a gallipot? Gallipot. What is a gallipot? On a sackful of gallipots, looking up against the blue of the morning sky, and seemed all at once to let me into his secret. He and his race stood revealed as the victims of a hopelessly mistaken musical ambition. He was terribly in earnest. Yet His ceaseless imitation of the thrushes carolling in the orchards around him were undertaken merely as practice. Like a hard-working student, he was forming his style on the best methods and labouring at it with a pathetic fury. Instead of being happy in the sunshine, content to clink his poor triangle in the humble nook of the woodland orchestra to which nature had relegated him, he was spoiling life in a fruitless endeavour to become first violin. And the worst of it was that he was whelmed in complete self-satisfied ignorance of his artistic plight. He sat up there on the tower top, high above the most gifted singers, plainly confident that he was sustaining an indispensable part in the morning's melody. And there I left him, still doing his fatuous best, smugly unaware, like all hopeless incompetents who are also enthusiasts, that he moved in the very atmosphere of failure. Oh, poor starling. It's a bit harsh, isn't it? Galley Boat's Kitchen, says Graham Cass. The allotment channel says to Linda, did you get an Amazon delivery note to say that your book had arrived? I'm trying to get to the bottom to make sure my book was sent out. They took the money quite enough. Oh, yes. I've only got the one book, actually. We like Gallimot in the Narrowboat Kitchen. All right. A gallipot, says Ed Loud, is one of them clay medicine pots. Ah. A small pot, says Linda Kane, made from glazed earthenware or metal used by pharmacists to hold medicines or ointments. Used to use them at work back in the day. Linda, you're not that old. You are not that old. A gallipot. No, is it galley? Galley? Lovely word, isn't it? Isn't that a lovely word? Gallipot. I must try and throw that into conversation one day. I was just pilfering through my gallipots when I stumbled across something else. I kept my seat in the jingling little cart until we had exploited another village or two, and then, as the clothes-peg man was doubling back through the side lanes, I parted company with him and journeyed on foot. The road, which hitherto had kept mostly to the level, now made a sharp ascent through a wood of elms. At the summit of the hill the trees abruptly ended, and here I came upon a prospect so enchantingly lovely that there was nothing for it but to sit down and leisurely take in its beauties one by one. The last tree made an oval frame of greenery for the picture before me. I made out now that I had come to the end of the hilly country, and that, for the rest of the day at least, my path would be across the flats. On the blue, misty earthline, the hills began again, but between my vantage point and this far-off dim Sierra, there stretched a plain of cultivated land that seemed perfectly level until a cloud shadow strayed over its surface and revealed, by its uncertain dipping progress, undulations, hollows, ridges, not to be detected in the unleavened brilliance of the sun. Here and there, in this wide-spreading vista, there were clusters of farm buildings, grey church spires pointing to the sky, clumps of brown applewood, now and then a glittering thread of river or stream, all set in the checkerboard of meadows and fields. Sweet Auburn must be down there, I thought, if it could be anywhere on earth, and my business was to set out and find it without delay. Presumably he's talking about the Somerset levels there, which would be interesting. I got my camera and rucksack on my back again. He's not taken a photograph. It's a shame, isn't it, that he didn't take any photographs, or if he did, that they're not published with the book. There's no plates in the book, which would have been absolutely wonderful to have seen those, especially as he's lugging this camera, which presumably is quite a large affair. It's not like one of the Kodak Instamatic. Anyway, I got my camera and my rucksack on my back again and was ready to march when a creaking sound came from the road behind me. Looking round, there was a parson pushing a bicycle up a hill. This is the second parson that he's spotted, as far as I can ascertain. He stopped when he reached my corner, very much out of breath, yet overflowing with gentiality. Gentiality. Oh, I can't say it. Why can't I say it? I know the word. He's a Gentile man. Gentiality. That's not right. Yes. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Geniality. There we go. Got it. Geniality. Sometimes I just get myself stuck on the words. Yes, overflowing with geniality. It did not look much like a lift, but I got a lift from him, however, and one of the kind I never hazard again. He got a lift on a bicycle. That's amazing. We fell into talk while he recovered his breath, and I told him of my journey and the means I was using to arrive at its end. I had suspected him to be a humorist from his general rubicundity. Rubicundity. There's a word you don't hear in common parlance, is it? Rubicundity, is it? And his little tight glossy curls. Now his eyes gave forth a merry twinkle. "My dear man," quoth he, "why should I be left out of this? Why shouldn't I too go down in prosperity in company with the Pentachnicon people and the ragman? Here, get up on my step." If you've ever coasted down the long and steep and rather jolty hill, standing on one leg on the step of a bicycle and holding on to a pair of broad clerical shoulders with a camera banging about wildly on your rear, you have missed one of the most fearsome joys in creation. We charged down the hill like a thunderbolt, the wind screaming in our ears. Luckily there was nothing in the road, and we pulled up safely at the bottom. As we walked part of the way back together to pick up the parson's hat, I put the question to him, very mildly, I thought, under the circumstances. What in heaven and earth possessed you to let her go like that? "Why, it was the wretched brake," he explained, rather frightened out of his mirthful fit for the nonce. "I forgot about it until too late. But all's well that ends well. And now, put me on your record." For the rest of the morning, I wandered through the hail, smiling... Oh, the hail, not the hail as in hail coming down, sorry. For the rest of the morning, I wandered through that hail, smiling, pleasant land, picking blackberries as I went, and wondering at the prosperity and content of all around me. It was evidently a great cider country, for the orchards abounded everywhere. From the hilltop these had seemed quite brown in colour, but a nearer view disclosed this prevailing tint as a blend of the tarnished green of the foliage with the yellow and scarlet of the fruit. The White Lane took a serpentine course, accommodating itself to the features of the landscape. It wound about sociably from farm to farm, skirted fields, dipped down through the shady hollows, and went off at a tangent to look in at pleasant little villages hiding behind clumps of trees. I've just got to pause there because these authors that we're reading just have such an amazing turn of phrase that we don't seem to have in this modern... I wish I could just talk in that manner. Let me just read that bit again, because I just think that is so quaint. The White Lane took a serpentine course, accommodating itself to the features of the landscape. It wound about sociably from farm to farm, skirted fields, dipped down through shady hollows, or went off at a tangent to look in at pleasant little villages hiding behind clumps of trees. I just think that is so beautifully put. Let's have a look. So people have been writing things. Spelt Gallipot. Yes, Gallipot. Nigel says that there is a Gallipot Inn near Hartfield in Winnie the Pooh country. Linda says hasn't arrived there yet. It was an ex-library book, I guess. The one you ordered, isn't it? Is he asking me or Mr. Sean James? And I think the new jumper would be nice in a creamy off-white, like an Aran sweater. Oh, yes, Audrey, that's nice. A creamy off-white would be good. Mary, have a look for some wool. I'll have to find some money and get that done. And I know Julia thinks that a bottle green would be good. So that's all good. Linda Kane says, although from Amazon, not fulfilled by them, but rather the bookseller, but he won't want to part with it. No, that's true. I'll keep my copy when it arrives, says Linda Kane. Oh, damn. And the allotment channel says, after this book, maybe A Christmas Carol, read by the Essie. Yes, but you see, Christmas Carol is so well known, isn't it? The story is so well known. What I love about this is we don't know. And also, it's a bit of a thing that we do travelling books because it keeps in with the Bald Explorer. All the books we've done, from English Journey to H.V. Morton in Search of England, they've all been travelling books. The one that failed was the story of a Norfolk farm, and although he was in Devon and he went to Norfolk and then set up the farm, that one failed. But all the other books have been books on the go, and that's really been interesting because, as you can see, we look at the maps and things. So I'm not sure that Dickens would be the thing. Anyway, and these unknown authors, I think it's so great to give them an airing because look how beautifully he writes. Linda says, I have just received another book that might be another one to read. Oh, fantastic. Bottle green, a favourite colour of mine, says Nigel Sadler. Excellent. Do tell Linda, send me an email and I'll have to go and get a copy of that. It's just so good. Good stuff for lockdown, isn't it? Anyway, how are we doing on the old time front? We're at past, which is grand. So yeah, pleasant little hiding behind the clumps of trees. And still autumn seemed as far off as ever. Certainly not in the current climate. Autumn is most definitely here. It seems like we're getting on to winter very quickly. Some of the tallest of the elms hung out golden banners over their battlements of living green. Just love it. I just love the language. Here and there a maple stood up like a crimson torch in the wood, or a birch had sparsely decked herself out in amber sequins. But as yet there was neither the face of autumn on the landscape nor the touch of it in the vital sun-laden breeze. It was, in truth, November, but the land was Somerset, the summer land of the West. All the quiet day, though, I went trudging on from one sweet, shy country nook to another, leaving the road whenever the mood beset me, taking to the field paths and woodland tracks, stopping when I had a mind, or strolling on again for no more definite reason than that it seemed good to roam or rest. I lunched at a place called Hatch Beauchamp, whose inn, wide, comfortable, bright, was a materialised invitation to come in and take good cheer. And in the deepening light of the afternoon, I found a solitary cottage tucked away in a roadside quarry pit, like a pearl in an oyster, through whose open door I beheld an old lady in a sun bonnet, sitting at the tea table laid for two, as though she expected me, and a shining copper kettle on the fire behind her, bubbling me a welcome that was impossible to resist. Gosh. Hatch Beauchamp. Is that a place? Is there such a thing? Do we know where he is? Linda Kane says it's by H.T.C. Rolt. Oh, is it another travelling book? his other one was beautifully written. I mean, some of his industrial revolution stuff, you know, the canals and stuff, are a bit more matter of fact. I've got a couple. I mean, they're greatly written. But Hatch Beauchamp exists. Hooray! Says Linda Kane, having looked it up. Excellent. What does it look? What is it? A small little something or other? Lee Lawson is saying yes. Hang on, I need a bit more coffee on this. It exists only a few miles of Fitzpatrick. Oh, right. So he hasn't really gone very far. He sounded like he'd gone miles. Where is my map? Let me see if I can find this place. Oh, I've gone back, haven't I? Hang on. We were measuring the distance. Oh, yes, here. Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. It's barely any distance. Where's the thing? 2.5. What does that say? 2.5 miles. Nearly 3 miles. What are we in? Bing Maps. I want to go back to Google. Hang on a sec. I've got to see what it looks like now. It's up here, isn't it? Somewhere. Where's it gone? Birkenhall. Why can't... Bloody Google Maps are rubbish. Can't read anything. Slough Green. Where's it gone? Down the Hatch. Oh, Hatch. Down the Hatch. Oh, that's a pub. Okay. West Hatch. It's here. Let's have a quick gander. Vicarage Road. How lovely. Beauchamp Country House Care. I bet that's a big old manor house, isn't it? And the Hatch Inn. That's nice. What a lovely place. It's you know, it's so different from Sussex where I am. Gosh. Oh, look at that ivy covered house there. Parish church. Beer Crocombe. Curry Mallet. No. Jive Head. Look at that. Beer Crocombe. Curry Mallet. Love those names. Beauchamp is probably Beecham. Is probably pronounced Beecham. Oh, is it? Beecham. I expect a couple of people are saying that. Oh, right. What makes you suspect that then? Hatch Beecham. It's just a local. Is it just the way it is? Shows you how ignorant I am. The ignorance is bliss, though. Ignorance is bliss. Look for the quarry, says Linda Kane. Look for the quarry. Right, okay. Hang on a minute. Looking. Hang on. Let's share this. Where is the quarry? I'm looking for a big white. Give me some directions. There is Beer Crocombe nearby too. Can you still get Beecham's powders? Here, thanks you, Daisy. Where is the quarry, Linda? Which way are we looking? North, south, east, west? And how far? And why are we looking for the quarry? You know something I don't know. Oh, there's Beer Crocombe. Frog Street. Look at that. Oh, this is just, you know, one's got to go here and explore like nobody's business. Smoky Joe's. That's a different thing. There's usually lots of piddles down that way too. Well, there used to be one. And the cottage. Oh, yes. Well, there used to be one. Oh, yes, I'm with you. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's see if we can find the cottage. Does the cottage exist? So, this is... we're not doing a lot of reading here, are we? But it doesn't matter. Side side-by-side maps. Now, let's have a look at an old OS map. I forget where you search in this. Where do you search? There's Colmstock. There's Hemyock. Here we go. So, castle, according to that. So he's come sort of this way, hasn't he? Because there's, let's get rid of, let me go into that, get rid of that. There's an old gravel pit here. Old gravel pit, there's lots of them. Cemetery. So this is, I mean, this map is probably what it would have looked like back then. And if he's come from, where has he come from? Fitz, whatever, Fitz thingy-jig is down here somewhere, isn't it? So there's an old gravel pit, no house in that. Anyway, I'll let you somebody else spend the time to search for that. It'd be great in the spring, as you say, to come back and actually follow in the footsteps of. He's not at. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong bloody place, aren't I? Of course I am. Sorry, it's Hatch. It's so easy. So yes, that's right. Yeah, quite right. He's gone from there. My fault. Twit, I am. Spent all that time. Hang on, where did he go? Oh no, that's right. I'm getting confused here because the Hollyhock place was where you suggested the, what's the name was? I've lost Culm. Don't show it again. Where's the box that says don't show it again? There used to be a box. Don't show that. Thank you. Go away. Where? I've lost it now. Blackdown Hills. Yes. We're not saying he was there. There's no. Where is such a category? There's no. Oh, find by place. Type in a place name. What are we looking for? Hatch. Hatch Beauchamp, aren't we? Beauchamp. Beecham. Okay, got it. Right. I've lost. Well, why haven't I? Where is? Oh, what's going on? I've lost the sodding map now. Anyway, I can't. I'll let somebody else can find it because I've lost the will on that now. Right, let me get back to the reading. I'll let somebody else find it out. Isn't this the first Tickner Edwards book we've had? It is the first one, yes. It's the only one we've done. The rest are about nature and Tansy is a story. Right, where were we? We're running out of time now. All day I went trudging to there, a place called What's-his-fame's bubbling welcome. Oh yes, everyone I met on that smiling, fruitful plain looked happy and contented. Now and then I was overtaken by some vehicle and found that a single glance at the driver was generally enough to bring him to a stop with a civil invitation to mount and ride. But even when going at a walking pace, it seemed too hurried a progression. Moreover, I had a certain scheme in view. It was seldom I looked at my map now, but in the cottage by the quarry I happened to glance over it, and my eye caught a name, Kingsbury Episcopi. Kingsbury Episcopi. Is that near Langfort? Kingsbury Episcopi. That's near Langport, isn't it? It had an alluring old-world ecclesiastical savour, just the place one would think to wake up in of a fine Sunday morning. And this, I remember for the first time now, was Saturday afternoon. I resolved to lie at Kingsbury Episcopi that night. It was but a few miles onward. I could reach it in an hour or two at most, and as yet the sun was only just tiptoeing the western hills. Is that the one? Because when I was in Lamport with Julian, what's-his-face, there was a what's the name, Episcopi. I can't understand why I can't. There's Hatch Beauchamp. It's not showing up. Why aren't you showing up? Where is your name? Where is this Kingsbury Episcopi? And maybe I'm thinking of another weird name. Yeah, maybe. There it is. Oh, it is. Oh no, that's Huish Episcopi. There's another. Look, hang on, you can't see. There's one here. Huish Episcopi. That's near Langport. So I wonder where he's thinking of then. King's Episcopi. And he's down here. Oh, near Taunton. Okay. Somebody else will find it. Yes, Huish. I don't know how you pronounce that. Huish Episcopi. That was the one. Yes. Is a curry mallet used to flatten onion barges? Could be. Good thought. Thought he was hitchhiking and he was on a plane. Yeah, well, said he was on the top, wasn't he? And then down below was the plane. Things can't have a chat. And he's gone barely any miles from Staple Fitzpaine to High Beecham. And then if it was the one at Langport, that looks like 25 miles, which I can't see he'll manage to do that. And he says it's only a few miles on. Let's read. How far are we till the end of the chapter? Because I want to finish this before the end of the hour, if possible, this one chapter. But it was a few miles on. I could reach it in an hour or two, he says, at most. So if an hour or two, it's got to be 6 miles, 3 miles an hour. And yet the sun was only just tiptoeing the western hills. It was deep dusk when I came down the long incline into Kingsbury, that intense blue dusk which one notices most of all in the fast shortening autumn days. There was but one street, and that thickly ramparted on either house. Oh, golly, I'm losing it now. There was but one street, and that thickly ramparted on either hand with houses of all ages and degrees. I passed 2 inns, but somehow they looked clean and cosy enough, but I was out of the mood for them. I resolved to try for a lodging in one of the cottages, if I could prevail upon any of the folks to take me in. Can you imagine knocking on people's doors and saying, "Here, any chance I could sleep on your sofa?" Thereafter, to the end of my 15 days' ramble, I lay only one other night at a public house, and this only for want of better faring. It proved always a difficult and delicate business, needing much circumspection and not a little diplomacy before my cottage quarters were won for the night. At Kingsbury, I wandered up and down in the darkness for a good half an hour, inspecting the fronts of houses or peering in at cottage windows for some token of the sort of people likely to take a stranger in. At last I hit upon one of the oldest cottages in the place. It was double-fronted and thatched, with wide, low lattice windows, through one of which yellow candlelight poured out upon the street. I was looking at the cottage, turning over in my head how best to further my design, when a great strapping fellow in corduroys, with a bunch of farm tools on his shoulder, came up and lifted the latch of the gate. This was my chance. I went up to him, got into talk, asked many questions about Kingsbury, told him what brought me here, and finally broached the matter of a night's lodgings, saying that it was not my desire to put up at an inn. He listened, scratching his ear doubtfully. "Well, I dunno. I couldn't say for sure. Maybe. You come a long way, 'tis true. Anyways now, come in for a talk with the missus." Can you imagine doing that and saying to somebody, "I'd rather stay in your house because I can't be asked to put up at an inn. I'm not paying for the inn. I'll just sleep with you for nothing." I followed him to the door, and there on the step, with the rich glow of fire and candle behind them, he and his comely wife and I debated the question at length. On every subsequent occasion when I was manoeuvring for cottage hospitality, there was always this elaborate doorstep consultation, lasting infrequently for 10 minutes or more, and into which, in some cases, the whole household forces were pressed. It was my first attempt of the kind, and I sustained my part but ill. I didn't know then, as I afterwards came to realise, that this was the crucial time for me, and that on my conduct and demeanour during these lengthy minutes by the entry depended the success or failure of my scheme. I was on my trial, it seemed. My appearance, voice, manner, the story I put forward were each in turn subject to a keen scrutiny, and judgment was passed on me according to canons of which, on that first essay, I was pitifully ignorant. On after occasions, practice had developed in me the qualities of dove and serpent necessary for the work, and I never once failed. The vital thing is to get an immediate idea of the characteristics of the household. These can ordinarily be guessed from the bearing of the people at the door, but usually a glance into the room behind will give you just the password you need. In this case I had a view of a comfortable kitchen, a meal set out tidily on a spotless table, a little cluster of children's fare, curly heads about it. How many I couldn't guess, and then something that in the after days would have guided me infallibly on the true road to favour. An open Bible, throned between the bread platter and the mighty hunk of cheese. I say this quite innocently and reverently, for then, as always, my great delight and profit has been to win a way into these little home circles in the country of England, where the faith of the fathers is a daily indispensable thing. On this, as through all the other wanderings in rural England, I have tried to discover for myself the real hold of Christianity is in the life of the more humble people, and I've come through it all immeasurably reassured and impressed. Out of the intellectual rough and tumble of city life and the interscene war din of the churches, you may well come by an over-gloomily view of how the larger and only vital issues is perpending. But once you get your lungs filled with the home air of the English villages, and your pessimism will arrive at a speedy end. It was unfortunate for me that my first venture of this kind should have been hedged about with difficulties rather than fell into my lot on any other occasion, and I suppose I owe it more to good luck than anything else that eventually the Kingsbury folk decided to take me in. They were for lighting a fire in the best parlour, and making a lonely gentleman lodger of me. But this would never have done. I got all my wits to work and called upon all my resources, with the net result that in 10 minutes I was given a hearty, unreserved place at the common board of this sort of temporary uncle in the midst of the jolliest little circle it is possible to conceive. We sat up all night until past 11 o'clock, father, mother, 7 children, and a very comfortable, happy stranger, all gathered round the great crackling, hissing wood fire, and talking and laughing for the most part, all at the same time. Nothing would induce a single one of them, from the oldest to the youngest, to forego a moment of that evening, and the stranger desired to curtail at least all of it. But it came to an end at last, and I was escorted to my bed in the little triangular room under the thatch, full of a fragrance of apples, hay, and lavender, where I lay awake for hours with the broad Somersetshire dialect ringing pleasantly in my head. What a delightful end to that chapter, but what an amazing thing. And what strikes me as poignant and interesting is this business that nothing would induce a single one of them, from the oldest to the youngest, to forego a moment of that evening. Can you imagine a stranger coming to the door now and the children, actually coming to terms with the fact the stranger was coming in their house, sitting on their sofa, eating their great chunk of cheese, and then laughing and joking with him until gone 11 o'clock at night? Can you imagine that the young teenagers or any of those age would soon get a bit bored and go, well, leave him with the adults and go back to my room and my computer and my computer games? What a difference life is today, and how interesting it must have been for them to have a stranger in to find out all about him, and how inquisitive they must have been when not having a television, to filling their lives with rubbish and man-made nonsense instead of a real-life person. I find that absolutely superb. Lee Lawson says, surprised the labourer was prepared to be accosted on his doorstep for questions when he's only just got home from work. Yes, I imagine they were quite cheeky. Audrey says, cheeky beggar. Yes, I mean, it is cheeky, I suppose. It's a different way of life. You're thinking of I can't say it now, Episcopi in Langport. Kingsbury Episcopi is very close, 13 miles from Hatch Beauchamp. Oh, it does actually work. Oh, marvellous. He has changed the name again, and it is Beeroby or something. Beer, whatever. Yeah, cheeky bugger. Kingsbury Episcopi was at the bottom right of your map screen. Bottom right. Map screen is there. There's Beery. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Folly Road, it says there. Let's take a walk. Wrong way. There's Folly Road. Let's take a little stroll down here and see what it looks like. It's always good to do that. All these modern looking buildings here. But as we get down, is that a pub? He said he said he found the oldest one? There's a bit of a church there. See, look, it could have been one of these, couldn't it? Could have been a place. Well, that's quite big and grand. I wonder, is it worth going down? There's another church. That looks like a Catholic church, doesn't it? Can we get down this road? Can't seem to get down that road. Oh, why can't I get down there? Surely I can get down that road. Oh, that's very strange. Must be able to get down there. Oh, you can't. It's unmapped. Look at that. It is unmapped. Church Street. Good God. You cannot get down there. That is bizarre. That must be one of the very few places. It goes to a dead end, but The River Parrot. Oh, there's and there's St Mary's Church, the old church, but you can't get to it. Oh yes, there we are. Methodist Church. Okay, Methodist. How bizarre. There's not many streets that you can't do that. They should have sacked the bloke. I bet it's one of those houses down there. Otherwise, these are all too modern looking. Well, there you go. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? That big house is thatched too. Maybe, yeah, I did think of that, but it was quite grand. I love the postman, Pat, go-kart. Oh, in the garden. Yes. Lee Lawson, surprised. Yeah, cheeky beggar, maybe it's a private road. Yes, I suppose it could be, but it leads to the church. So you wouldn't have thought the church would have been on a private road. The St Mary's Church is clearly the original, earliest church. There are several thatched ones, but no longer with lattice windows, says Lee Lawson. It's a shame. We could knock on the door, could we not? I could go there, knock on the door. Is there any chance you could put me up for the night? I'm in the footsteps of Tickner Edwards. Surely we'll have a chat till over 11 o'clock. And they'll say, what, you're going to bed early then? I say, yeah, that's late for me. Anyway, that's all good fun. We'll be back again tomorrow to do more of this. It's great fun. And I've enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along. Thanks to Julia for looking after everybody in the chat room and making sure. And thanks to everybody with their keen eyes on the maps and for keeping it going. It's all good fun. We only did one chapter, but that's all right. It's savouring it. And what beautiful language and interesting turn of phrases that he has. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. This is, I think, where language and the English language in books is so wonderful. And I wish I could write like that, but alas, I can't. But I can appreciate it when I read it. Do take care. Look after yourselves. Thanks once again, and I will see you tomorrow. All the best. But for now, goodbye. Bye-bye.